About 30 minutes ago. He's arriving at Grizzlies shoot-around. We will update his status throughout the show. Welcome to NBA Today, presented by PNC Bank. I'm Malika Andrews, joined by JJ Redick and Richard Jefferson. We have reporters joining us throughout the show, but we're going to start with Morant because the Grizzlies star, he's officially listed as doubtful, as I just mentioned, with right knee soreness. Memphis head coach Taylor Jenkins said yesterday that, quote, this injury is caused by that play. And you can see it right here. The play in question, Jordan Poole appears to be grabbing at Morant's knee in the fourth quarter of Golden State's win on Game 3. That was on Saturday night. So Ja Morant, he didn't speak at shoot-around yet. The last we heard from him was this now deleted tweet. It was after the game. Morant tweeted, broke the code, a reference to Warriors head coach Steve Kerr saying that Ja's teammate Dylan Brooks broke the code with his flagrant foul on Gary Payton II in the second game of that series. So there is a whole lot to unpack here, but I want to start with that word code, if we could, guys. It's come up a lot. JJ and Richard, you guys played a combined 32 years in the NBA, so take us inside the locker room. When we hear that word code, what does that mean?
Well, it just means that the things that you were taught very, very early on in the game that you don't do. Like we talked about it when you know, the Dylan Brooks thing. We are taught at 10, 12, 13 years old in the park. It's like, why are they fighting? It's because he took out his legs or he went up for a dunk and he took him out. These are things that you were taught, and there's a ton of code, but it's mainly just about protecting players because at the end of the day, we are all on the same team. We are just competing against each other.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think any code was broken here on this particular play. There's a big difference, by the way, between launching yourself through the air towards the basket and having someone come and try to decapitate you or getting undercut. Like getting undercut is what he damn near took his head off.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, there's a big difference between that and reaching in for the ball on a loose ball. You know, I've watched this play so many times. I think it's important to note, like, Ja Morant missed 9 games because of right knee soreness earlier in the year. He banged that knee on Klay Thompson earlier in the game. And on that particular play, in slow motion, you see his right leg move in all sorts of different directions. So, yeah, maybe he did get hurt on that play, but I have a hard time believing that Jordan Poole maliciously went in to hurt Ja Morant's knee.
And really quickly, it's a since deleted tweet. It is deleted because, you know, maybe some people got to him and be like, hey, Gary Payton II, he might not play again this season. Like your situation.
Yeah.
And look, I feel bad for any player that's injured. I love Ja Morant. I don't want to see him miss 1 minute on the floor. But to try and compare those two plays, that's just very, very difficult.
So to be very clear here, this play, this Jordan Poole play,
yes,
dirty or not? Richard?
Oh, not dirty. Just incidental contact. Remember when Draymond had to get stitches because in the game, Jordan Poole knocks the ball loose. Then he's swiping at it, and then as he comes back, his hand swipes it. There's no grab, there's no pull, there's no wrap and yank and twist. And it's still, I'm not saying that the injury didn't kind of get inflamed in that moment, but to say that there was that's intent or same type of oh, I'm gonna grab his leg and kind of jerk it, you know, the old Larry Bird, if your back was sore, he'd elbow you in the back on the first play. This isn't those type of things.
JJ, anything to add here?
Nothing to add. I'll reiterate that it was not a dirty play, and I don't believe there was any malicious intent on Jordan Poole's part.
All right. Yeah, that seems to be the eye test, and that is what the league deemed as well. Thank you both. We're going to be hearing both from you again very shortly. I do want to get an update here, though, from Ramona Shelburne about how the rest of the league is reacting to this. Ramona, what are you hearing?
Look, everyone I've talked to had the same opinion Richard and JJ did, which is essentially unfortunate. Right? Unfortunate, but not a dirty play. And I think the question here is really, you get to be upset when your star player gets hurt. You just do, and it's understandable. But the question is, do you take it forward? And somebody brought up the Joel Embiid, Pascal Siakam play. Joel Embiid addressed that for the first time on Friday night when he came back, and he said, I don't blame Pascal. He's one of my best friends. We know each other really well. It was an elbow that broke his orbital bone. It was a difficult situation, but he didn't mean to do it, and I think that's where we're going to end up with this play. But you get to be upset.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Especially he's hurt.
When your star player is hurt, you get to be upset. All right, let's get to tonight's game. Here are the Warriors at shoot-around earlier today on how they're preparing for this important Game 4.
Memphis went 20-5 without him. They're a hell of a team for a reason. They're really deep. So while it may change a scheme or two in terms of how we're guarding, it doesn't change our respect for what they're capable of. So we will be prepared either way.
All right, so for anyone who forgot, if the Grizzlies do, in fact, have to go a game without Ja in this Game 4, they have a whole lot of experience in that department. Memphis, they went 20-5 in games without Morant during the regular season. That's tied for the best win percentage by any team in NBA history when missing a 25-point scorer. So back with JJ and Richard, we just showed the numbers. The Grizzlies, they didn't miss a beat without Ja in the regular season. So, Richard, what makes them so good specifically without their star?
Well, I think their style of play, this is where coaching really comes in, making sure that all of these guys on their team feel enabled to go out and play the style of game that you can maintain with Ja. And that's where Tyus Jones comes in. Tyus Jones, to me, is so important to their team because he goes from a backup to a starter, maybe the best, backup point guard in the league, to a starter, and the pace stays the same. He knows how to get all the guys the same shots and the same plays. Now, he's not Ja Morant, but he knows how to make sure that the style of play and the pace stays the same, and that's what makes him so special.
That plug and play, JJ.
Well, I'll add two things to that. The Grizzlies were better defensively in the regular season when Ja was hurt. And secondly, Desmond Bane's production went way up in those games that Ja Morant missed. And to me, that's the guy that the Grizzlies have to get going. He was fantastic in round one against the Timberwolves, but has been very limited so far in this series. He's averaging 10 a game. He hasn't had any momentum getting shots. And Steph Curry has been the primary defender on him and has done a really good job. Richard knows this from playing in the playoffs so many times. When you're a shooter, the awareness around where you are on the court goes up exponentially. And the Warriors have found him every time down the floor. Jordan Poole has also guarded him. The two of those guys have done a fantastic job on Desmond Bane. So they got to figure out whether that's through dribble handoffs, whether that's through step-up pull-ups, or getting him moving more. They got to figure out a way to get Desmond Bane going.
So Desmond Bane is the guy that you're watching without Ja Morant tentatively. Again, for now, he is listed as doubtful. But Richard, on the other side of the ball, who are you watching that needs to continue or step up for the Warriors?
Well, I alluded to it earlier when I was talking about Tyus Jones. What Tyus Jones does for their team is he has the same kind of energy. And so when you know you have a point guard that can knock down shots, that plays and competes on the defensive end, and like we said, he's not Ja. You can't replace Ja. But that record is no lie. You see that record when Ja is out. It's because when you put in players and he's able to say, hey, I know you like the ball here. I know we had to get this pin down for you. Hey, Jaren Jackson Jr., we're going to run this play, get you a shot. There is a kind of a captain style play that he plays, and it's just like a seamless transition. When Ja's in the lineup, out the lineup, he doesn't care if he's starting, not starting. He just knows how to play the way the Grizzlies need him to be successful.
That was such an eloquent, beautiful answer to who the Grizzlies need when I was curious about the Warriors.
He doesn't listen to the question, Malika. He doesn't listen to the question.
It was so beautiful.
I thought the same
eloquent.
thing.
It was lovely.
Really?
Just cut his
Very
mic,
clearly
JJ, go
asked
ahead.
who needs to step up for the
Go
Warriors.
ahead,
I was
JJ.
reading that. I didn't
Go ahead,
hear it.
JJ.
You're right.
Yeah.
You guys are right. It's Monday.
See what I have to deal with?
Monday. I apologize.
Drink some more coffee and
God.
let JJ talk.
Yeah.
No, I've been as fascinated with it as any NBA fan throughout this stretch of games, going back several months now, and especially in this playoffs, with the play of Jordan Poole. To me, his play as well as Jonathan Kuminga's development, like this ultimately is what is extending this Warriors group championship window. And when he plays at an elite level, and you mix in the genius of Draymond Green, the play of Steph, the play of Klay Thompson, they are as good as anyone in basketball. And so for me, it's like if they want to win a championship, this is the version of Jordan Poole that we're going to have to see throughout the playoffs.
Well, since I get a second crack at this question, let's try this again. I'm going to say I want to say Kuminga, because we know this for a fact, is that there is no way that the Golden State Warriors are going to be able to win a championship without Gary Payton II unless you find another defender, unless you find another athletic wing defender, because you can roll out all the offense you want, all the shooting, but they also have to guard people on the other end. And so if Kuminga can step in there, and doesn't mean he's got to play 35 minutes, 32 minutes. If he can give you 18 minutes of intelligent, strong defense, athletic defense, and that gives, Steph a little bit more energy, that gives Wiggins a little bit more energy to score. So that's what Gary Payton Payton did. He was in there to defend and slow down people. If Kuminga can take that energy, then I think it's going to be a positive add for them in the starting lineup.
I'm sorry, what did you just say? I wasn't listening.
Wow,
Just kidding.
geez.
Much more on this game later
Monday
in the
for
show,
you too, sis.
including live reports from our reporters that are embedded with both teams. We have so much more to come, though, on NBA.